110, Kufyud A, Kufyud Amid Aleph. On the bottom, Kais Ikrin. In Mishnah, we said certain things that we weren't allowed to be eating on Shabbos or drinking on Shabbos. We said that anything that's food you're allowed to. However, there's some exceptions. Any drinks you're allowed to. The Kais Ikrin, this cup of Ikrin, could be translated as roots. So it could mean that it's a cup of, it makes a person infertile. It's akar, it makes them barren. So let's see. My Kais Ikrin. What is this cup of, I'm not sure how to translate it, roots or barrenness? Let's see. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, Lacey Miskal Zuza Kuma Alexandria. Gonna get some potions here. So what you do is you take the weight of a zuz of Kuma Alexandria, of Alexandrian gum, maybe resin or something. Miskal Zuza Gavya Gila. Also, you take the weight of a zuz. A zuz is a coin. You take that weight of alum. Miskal Zuza Karkama Rishka. And you take the weight of a zuz of garden saffron. And you grind them together. Okay, so now what are you going to use this for? So Luzava, if it's for a woman that's a zav, she's having discharges at not the regular time. So Tlasa Bechamra, she puts it into, I guess she has 3 of them, diluted with wine. V'lei miakra, but it won't make her barren. Liyarkuna, if there's jaundice, then you take train b'shechra miakra. You take just 2, but it's mixed with beer instead of wine, and it causes barrenness. L'zavatlis tilsa b'chamer v'lei miakra. Let's go back to the first remedy. A woman is a zava. So she's going to take 3 of these medicines, and she won't become barren from it, mixed with wine. The Eily, let's say she doesn't have it, or if it didn't work, she doesn't have the garden saffron or the gum, Alexandrian gum or alum. Lysi, she should bring tilsa kfizi shamchi parsoi. Take 3 baskets. Kfizi is a small basket that holds 3 lug of Persian onions. Is that something we're familiar with? Persian onions? I don't know. Where's Aaron? He'll tell us. V'nishlik b'chamra, you cook it in wine, v'nashke, and you drink it. V'neimala, and then you tell her, kum mizayvich, get up from your abnormal flow, the ziva. Stop your flow. Kum means to get up or stop. Okay, so somehow it's not just the remedy, but it's not just the potion that you have to take. You also have to do this telling her. V'ilai, and if that doesn't work, so loisva parshas drachim, she should sit on the road, the crossroads. V'linkata kisa dechamra biyadei, she should have a cup of wine in her hand. A person should come from behind, v'levasa, and scare her. This sounds more what you would do for hiccups. But here it's for zava. And then says to her, Kum yizayvich, get up from stop your flow. If this doesn't work, lese buna de kamuna, you take a handful of cumin. Buna de marika, this is also saffron. Buna de shavlulisa, and a handful of fenugreek. Benishlik b'chamra, you cook it in wine. Benashke, and you drink it. She drinks it. B'neimale kum yizayvich, say get up from stop your flow. Eily, if that doesn't work. Leise shitin shi dedana, you take 60 seals, not as that ocean thing, seals, coverings of a barrel, right? You take 60 barrel covers. Velashve. I'm not sure if this means that you scrub them when they're in the water, or it means you soak it in water and then you scrub it on her. I'm not sure what it means. But lamely, whatever the case is, you say to her, "Kum yizayvich, stop your flow." Eily, if this doesn't work, lisi pashtina, you should take this type of grass. Rashi tells us that it doesn't grow tall. It's a grass that just grows along, like spreads out instead of growing tall. That's what the word sounds like also. Velishlik b'chamra, and it's a wide grass. You soak it, you cook it up in wine, the lashve, and you spread it on her, this cooked grass and wine. B'nei, and then you tell her, "Kum yizayvich, stop your flow." Eily, if this doesn't work, leise chanuga, you take thistles, the higsa ramaisa, of chanuga is a type of grass, or thistles is what the Steinsaltz translated, that grows in the Roman thorns, or the thorns that's called rumisa. Velikle, you burn them. Lisfa b'shachki, the kisna, the kaita, and you put it into shachki, or rags, worn out clothing, of linen, and you do this in the summer. B'shachbi the amar gufna, and you put it in rags of cotton, b'sitva, in the winter, and I don't know what you do with it. I guess you put it next to her. Eily, and if this doesn't work, lichri sheva biri. There you have to dig 7 pits. Veliklibu shabishta yalda de arla, and you burn branches of a vine, a young vine that's still arla in the first 3 years. Velinka take kisa de chamra biyade, and she takes a cup of wine in her hand. Lukme meha v'leisveyaha. They put her on this one, and then they move her and they put her on that one. In each one they say, get up, stop your flow. This is the only thing that I know similar to that is after a funeral, there's a minhag to go from one chair to another. And you say that Yoshe B'Seser, and each one you stop at a different word. And Kimalach V'Yitzavalach. Eily Lysi Smida, if this doesn't work, so you bring fine flour, Veliska, Mipalga Letatai, and you smear it on her lower half. And you say to her, get up stop your flow. Eily, if this doesn't work, Leise Beasa Dinamisa, you take an ostrich egg, Velikle, and you burn it, Velishra B'Shachki, the kitna, the kaita, and you put it in rags, flax, linen rags in the summer. Shachbi damar gufna b'sitva, and you put it in to cotton rags in the winter. And again, it doesn't tell me what you do with it, but I'm not sure what you do with it. Eily, if that doesn't work, liftach lachavisa dechamre l'shma. You open up a barrel of wine just for her. This sounds like a reasonable remedy. Eily, if that doesn't work, linkate sarasa the mishtachas bekafusa the kudna chivra. It's going from extreme. you take a kernel of barley that's found in the dung of a white mule. It's like undigested. And if she holds it for 1 day, the flow will stop for 2 days. If she holds it for 2 days, the flow will stop for 3 days. It works an extra day. If she holds it for 3 days, will stop forever. So that's a remedy here. Liarkuna for jaundice, we said that this combination of Alexandrian gum, alum, and saffron, the weight of a zuz, this would, you take it twice, but it causes barrenness. It makes him or them or him or her infertile, and you mix it with beer. We said train b'shichra miyaker. Eily, if that doesn't work, so reisha de shibuta de lysi reisha de shibuta de milcha should bring the head of a shibuta fish, salted shibuta fish, v'lishlik b'shikra v'lishte, and you should soak it in beer, cook it in beer and drink it. Eily, if that doesn't work, or if you don't have it, lesi munina de kamti. Take brine from grasshoppers. Vileka munina de kamti, if you can't find in Publix grasshopper brine. So, lesi munina de nakiri.
Aisle 4, by the way, aisle 4.
Aisle 4. You get brine from small birds. Eily lebeibani. You bring it into the bathhouse. The lishvei, and you smear it on him or her. Vileka beibani, if there's no bathhouse there. Look me bein tanura leguda. Then he should go in between the oven and the wall where it's hot. The bathhouse was a place, the schwitz. Here he doesn't have a bathhouse. He should go between the oven and the wall where it's very hot. He'll sweat it out. Rabbi Yochanan says, if someone that wants to warm this person, I guess after the schwitz, maybe he'll feel cold, should wrap him in his sheet. I don't know if he means specifically the sheet of the sick person or his own sheet, I'm not sure. Rav Acha bar Yosef Chashbei. Rav Acha bar Yosef had this problem, I guess, jaundice. Avalei Rav Kana. Rav Kana did this remedy, v'itzi, and he was healed. I guess he wrapped him in his sheet. Eily, if this doesn't work, let's say tlasa kfizi tamri parsisa. Kfizi we had on the top of the page. It's a basket that holds 3 lug. You take 3 of these baskets of Persian dates. V'tilsa kfizi dekira denistrufi. Take 3 baskets of wax that's dripping. V'tilsa kfizi ala tulana. You take 3 baskets of red aloe. Okay, those different types of aloe. V'lishlakinu b'shichra. You boil it up with beer, v'lishtin, you drink it. Eily, if this doesn't work, leisei ila bar chamra. Okay, I'm not sure if ila means a horse. A horse that's the child of a donkey. It's like a mule sort of combination, right? I guess. I'm not sure if Eila means a horse. It sounds like it means like a horse. V'legalach mitziasa deresha. You shave the head, the middle of the head, the opposite of a mohawk. But this is not of the horse. This is of the sick person. You shave the middle of the head of the sick person. Then you have to let blood out of this animal's forehead. Then you put it on the head of the sick person. Be careful, the blood shouldn't get in his eyes. It could blind him. If that doesn't work, take the head of a deer, the manach bekivsha, that was placed in a pickle jar. V'lishlek b'shichra, should cook it with beer. V'lishtei, and drink it. If that doesn't work, lesi davaracher chotrana. You take a striped pig. Davaracher is they don't want to say the word pig. They call it davaracher, something else. V'lekare, you tear it open. V'lusve alibe, and put it on his heart. If that doesn't work, lesi karte mikavsusa de meshrei. You take leeks from the middle of the row where they're very sharp over there. Those would be a very strong flavor. There was this Arab that had, I guess, jaundice. Amalei Leginai tells to the gardener, Shkol Glima, you can take my garment, my cloak. Vahavli Mesha Dekarti, and give me some of the leeks that are sharp, that are in the middle of the row. Yoav Levachle. So he gave it to him, and there was an exchange. He got a cloak, and this fellow got his leeks. Amalei Uslan Glimach Vigni Bekali. Would you mind lending me your new purchased cloak you just got in exchange for those leeks? Can you lend it back to me so I can just take a little nap? Igni Bekali is, I'll rest a little bit in that cloak. Ichrich, he wrapped it up, Ganabe, and he rested. Karichamim, when he got warm, his body got warm, because he ate the leeks, it was very sharp, his body gets hot. Come v'nafal porta minei. He gets up, and the cloak starts to fall apart from the heat of his body, which means that he fooled the gardener. The gardener doesn't end up getting anything. He got the leeks, and he borrows the cloak, and it ends up falling apart. Okay. A used car. Liarkuna train b'shichra miyaka. We mentioned that for jaundice, you take 2 of these with beer, but it causes infertility. The Gemara asks, so mishari, are you allowed to make a person infertile? For Tanya, but we have a brisa. Minayin l'siris badam shuaser. How do you know that castrating a man is forbidden? Talmud Leimar ba'artzachem leisaso. It's referring to that not to bring animals that have this mum, a blemish, and that's including animals that are castrated. It gives a list over there. Now, Pasuk says, it concludes, and in your land you shall not do this. So, ba'artzachem, b'chem leisaso. That's learning from the Artzachem that you shall not do this anywhere. Okay. Is it referring to? I don't have the pasuk here. Is it referring to the mum by the Kayanim or the mum by the animals? There's two verses that quote the same. Leisakrivu la Hashem. Yeah, they may be referring to the Kayanim. I'm not sure. Do you have the full text over there? Let me do it. Safaria will send me back and forth. Today's Daf 111. We're a drop behind.
Daniel, we're counting on you here.
Yeah, here, this is actually referring to the animals. But the Gemara is learning that you shall not do this to yourselves. Because it says, Bachem, it says, Ba'artzachem, and we're learning from that extra chem in your land, learning from that chem that you shall not do it to yourselves. You shall not castrate yourselves. It's a prohibition. Divrei Reb Chanina. Okay, so that's our question. Our question is, how are you allowed to drink this, even though it's not physical castration, but nevertheless, just to drink this, it's causing a person to become infertile, and that's prohibited. The Gemara answers, that's only if you intend to cause infertility. But hacha me'atzmayu. Rabbi Yochanan even says this. If it happens automatically on its own because of some secondary thing that you're doing, that's allowed. Rabbi Yochanan said, if someone wants to castrate a hen, a rooster, I guess, a rooster. So a rooster, yitel karbaltai, you take off that crown, the red thing on the top, and mastar smelav, and automatically it will become castrated. So you're allowed to do that because that wasn't your intention. Maybe it was his intention, but it wasn't happening directly in the reproductive organs. It was a secondary way that happened. So the problem is, Vamar Ravashi, that wasn't actually castrated. It lost its crown. It was so depressed that it didn't want to mate. That's not castration. That's depression. It was more.
How does the rooster know this? He doesn't have a mirror.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he sees from the faces on everyone else. They all look at him like dejected. Like, oh, poor thing. They can see in the water. They look in the water. They look back there. Okay, Ella Besiris. Talking about that this person that's drinking this for jaundice was actually castrated already. Was already infertile. And therefore, we're thinking that it's okay for him to drink this potion because he anyways is infertile. Where it says, 1 second, Rabbi Barabba says the name of Rabbi Yochanan, everyone agrees. Okay, carbon mincha, if someone brings a mincha, it has to be matzah. It can't be chametz. If it is chametz, then there's a prohibition there. Let's say someone adds to the chametz. He adds yeast into it. He bakes it, one that was already chametz. So every step, even adding to it, even though it's already prohibited, it's still adding to it still continues. It's not like, oh, it's already done, so it's finished. So shenemar leisiaf chametz, leisasa chametz. We have 2 verses there. Everyone agrees to that. And everyone also agrees that to castrate someone that was already castrated, to add to it, is also prohibited. Shenemar umach v'chasas v'nasak v'karas, crushed and cut and also torn and removed. Imal karas chayev al nasuk like kolshkin. If a person is chayev for just cutting the veins or whatever the channels that are in the testicles, if that is chayev, so if he removes them, for sure he's chayev. Rather, it's coming to tell me that if someone removes them after they were already cut, the one that removes them is also chayev, which means that just because it happened once, or there was the first step of this, what's it called? Vasectomy, right? Is that the word? Someone had a vasectomy. And then someone else comes and removes the testicles, just because the first part was done and he's sterile, but the next person is chayiv as well. So what are you telling me, that he's allowed to drink because he was already sterile? The second thing is also chayiv. Ela bezakin. No, we're not talking about a person that's sterile. We're talking about just an older person. And over there should be no problem. The Gemara says, 1 second. That's not a solution. There's some potions that the Gemara lists in Masechta Gittin that could make a person they should be able to have children. So Rabbi Yochanan over there says that these things brought him back to his youth. So even if a person is old, it doesn't mean that he's sterile. He's just, he didn't take the right potions, the right herbs, if he takes the right things, he'll go back to his youth and he'll be unsterile. So, Ela be'isha. Okay, so now the Gemara gives a halachic answer. We're talking about a woman. A woman, it says that a woman doesn't have the mitzvah to procreate. She just assists her husband in procreation. So the mitzvah of pruah revu is on the man. Because it says, pruah revu milosaretz v'chivshua. Who is the person that conquers? Kivshua is to conquer. Fill the land and conquer it. Who conquers? Only the men conquer. Women don't conquer, so they don't have the first part of the pasuk either. So therefore, for them, it's okay to be sterile. What about Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika's opinion? He says that the mitzvah of pruah revu is on both of them. So which means that a woman is not allowed to drink this cup of make her sterile either. What is it to say according to his opinion? The Gemara answers, here we can get away with this answer. We tried this before, but that was referring to the man. Now we'll do this answer for the woman. Here we have a woman that's already sterile. By the man, there was a problem. And for some reason, by the woman, there isn't. Yeah, it's not so clear why. According to this opinion, the woman is chayiv. I guess there's two separate mitzvahs. That's what we're going to have to say. So one mitzvah to have children. It's another prohibition not to castrate. So, and then we said that to castrate after someone's already castrated is still prohibited, but that would only apply to a man, not to a woman. I guess that's how we're going to have to say it.
The article says here that the woman can't become fertile again, like that. Rabbi Yochanan could, but the woman only through a miracle.
So what about by the akara? What about mesares acher mesares? Maybe over there it's different. We said by the man, he was a saris. He was a saris already. He was already castrated. So we said that to castrate him again, or to finish whatever was left, that would be usher. And by the woman, we're not talking about that she was something was cut or whatever. She's just she's barren for whatever reason, and then so for her, she's allowed to take these potions. Okay. Now it says Hacheshes B'Shinav. Someone that has a toothache. So you shouldn't. Gameya means to sip or gargle. The Gemara is going to discuss if he's swallowing it as well. But at this point, he shouldn't be gargling vinegar, because that's a remedy for the teeth, for a toothache. Aval metavalu kedarkei. But he can dip his bread in the vinegar, and as he would normally eat his bread. When misrap and misrap, if it heals him, then good, he gets healed. Because, like we said before, that food is allowed to do. In Russia, they would say that they would lose their teeth as they got older. They say you could lose all your teeth, but you always need to have one. So you should be able to have always an excuse why you're drinking vodka. I might have a toothache. If you lose all of it, then that's why you're drinking. Okay. So acheshesh b'masnav. Someone has pain from his loins. Layasuch. Yayin v'chaimetz. He should not put on wine and vinegar to smear it on. But he's allowed to put on oil. Oil was a normal thing for people to put on their skin. But not rose oil. Rose oil is very expensive. And that was only purchased in a pharmacy. That was medicinal. That wasn't from just a regular grocery. However, princes, they're allowed to use rose oil, even on their wounds. Shekain dark and lasach b'chol, because they use that in the weekday as well. For them, they always use rose oil. Reb Shimon says that every Jewish person is a prince, and therefore you're allowed to use rose oil, even though it's very expensive and it's only used by princes, but Jewish people are princes. Ramile Ravacha Aricha. Ravacha Aricha asked the question. Abba Aricha was Rav. This is Rav Acha Aricha. Dehu Ravacha Bar Papa. Ravacha Aricha, Ravacha the Tall. This is Ravacha Bar Papa. And he asked the question, to Rabavo. This is in Eretz Yisrael. Why is his name Ravacha? It should be Rabbi Acha. Okay. Tanan. We have a Mishnah. Mishnah says, he should not gargle with vinegar. That means that vinegar is good for the teeth. The only problem is, Pasuk in Mishlei is saying about things that are bad. As an example for something that's bad, it says it's so bad that it's like vinegar is bad for the teeth. Like smoke is bad for the eyes. What are you telling me? It heals the teeth. It seems to be that it's from the pasuk that it's harmful. It says like kasha. It's two types of vinegar. Haba kiwa de peri, haba chala. Depends. The kiwa de peri is unripe fruits that are very sour because they're not ripe yet. So that's also vinegar. There's two types of vinegar. That type of vinegar is bad for the teeth. Regular vinegar, which means wine, it got older and it wasn't sealed properly and it turns into vinegar. So that is okay for the teeth and that's actually healthy.
Is that the difference between like apple cider vinegar and like balsamic vinegar?
Yeah, I don't know how the apple cider vinegar is. how it works, but I assume it's similar to the wine. Are they using? No, it must be that it's like fermented, and then they let it sour.
It could be a new project for your class.
Right. I tried that. The first year I taught biology. I thought I had a great project. I was going to brew beer. And then the principal said, no, don't brew beer with the high school students. Okay. So, okay. Iba Yasema Hava Haba Chala. Another teretz. We could say that both of them are regular vinegar. Hadikamaka, dalakamaka. Depends if there's a wound. Just because it's bad for it doesn't mean that it doesn't heal it when there's a wound. If there's a wound, and if it's healthy, then don't take it. But if there's a wound there, then it's good. Ikamaka masi. If there's a wound, then it heals. Lakamaka marpi. I would give a different answer. Gemara's not asking me though. I would have said that it's bad for the teeth, like the enamel, but it soothes the nerves, the pain, and the gums. That would have been my answer, but whatever. They didn't ask me. Okay. You can't sip the vinegar. Tanya, but we have a brisa that says it says you can't sip and spit it out, but you can sip it and then swallow it. And from the Mishnah, it sounds like you can't sip it. But we have a brisa that says that you're allowed to sip it. So Rabbi says, okay. It's an easy answer. The Mishnah is talking about sipping it and spitting it out, which even the brisa holds is forbidden. That's what the case of the Mishnah is. Rava says, no, Rava says you could say that it's talking about swallowing it, and it's still prohibited. It depends if he ate already. It's very normal for a person to have vinegar before he eats. After he eats, then they don't have the vinegar. They don't have that. So it's like the pickled things they serve in the restaurants at the beginning, like a little sauerkraut or whatever. They have these little things. That's before you eat. So before he eats, it's considered regular, and to have the vinegar. So that's why it says that it's permissible in the brisa. But after he ate already, then it looks odd that he's still eating vinegar, even though he's swallowing it. But what are you doing with vinegar after the meal? What's the problem? Is the person sick? Why is he continuing to have vinegar? So it looks like he's sick. He's taking it for medicinal purposes. That's why it's not allowed. The Gemara asks the question. So Rava just made a distinction between when he's taking this vinegar. Is it before the meal or after the meal? B'neima, 1 second, we can ask a question. Rava has an opinion that holds that if anything is permissible at one time, it should be permissible at all times. If it's permissible before he eats, it should be permissible afterwards as well. The Shaminan Leila Rava, because we know that Rava holds the Islay Hoyel. It's a concept called Hoyel, since. It's in terms, since. That's like enough for us. We already know what it's talking about. He holds Hoyel. Hoyel means that since it's permissible for this, so it's permissible across the board. Rava said, there is nothing that on Shabbos is permissible, and it's forbidden on Yom Kippur. Since it's permissible on Shabbos, it's permissible on Yom Kippur. Now, that's talking about using the mikveh. There's a problem to put vessels in the mikveh, because that's like fixing them. And there's a problem for a person to go to the mikveh on Shabbos. But a person, we say that's okay because it looks like he's just going in to cool off. It's hot. He's going in to cool off. He's going into the water. And that's the reason why the mikvah is allowed on Shabbos. Because it looks like he's going in to cool off, and it doesn't really look like he's fixing. Now, some people don't want to use a hot mikvah for that reason. So, Rava, now comes a problem. What about going to the mikvah on Yom Kippur? Well, you're not washing yourself, but you have a problem that it looks like you're fixing. How do you resolve the fixing the utensil or fixing the person? How do you resolve that? You say he's going into cool off. Well, on Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to go into cool off because you're not allowed to wash yourself on Yom Kippur. So it should be prohibited to use the mikvah on Yom Kippur, even though it's not for washing, but it should be prohibited because you don't have the excuse that it looks like washing, which it looks like it's cooling off. You don't have that excuse on Yom Kippur. So Rava says it doesn't matter. Hoyel, since we've already accepted that you're allowed to use the mikvah on Shabbos, it goes across the board, you're allowed to use it on Yom Kippur. Well, if that's the case, Rava says that you're allowed to drink vinegar before the meal, Hoyel, you should be allowed to drink it after the meal as well. Not on Yom Kippur, on Shabbos, if someone has a toothache. So the Gemara says, Hadabei Rava Meach. That's a strong question. Rava takes back what he said. Rava retracted. And he holds that you can't drink vinegar and he's going to have to learn like Abaya that says that there's a difference between if he's swallowing it or spitting it out. See, Rava was going to be strict over here and say, even if he's swallowing it, it's still usher after the meal. Rava can't say that anymore. He has to say that there's a difference between if he's spitting it out or if he's eating it. Gemara says, how do you know which one he retracted? Maybe he retracted from his other story about Yom Kippur. And he holds that just because it's permissible once doesn't mean that it's permissible across the board. And then he's able to keep that answer with the vinegar. Gemara says, don't let that enter your mind. The Tanya, because we have a brisa. It says, Kol chayvei tfilas tevlin kedarkan bein b'tish b'tes b'av bein b'yom kippurim. Anyone that needs the mikveh is allowed to go, whether it's Tisha B'Av or whether it's Yom Kippur. This is not the halacha, but anyway, that would be the opinion that would be following this. Okay. We said that a chayshish b'masnav, someone that had pain in his loins, so he should not put on wine and vinegar, but he's allowed to use oil. We said, but he can't use rose oil because rose oil is medicinal. However, Reb Shimon holds that you're allowed to use, the Jewish people are allowed to use rose oil because they're princes. Amar Rab Abba Bar Zavda Amar Rav. Rab Abba Bar Zavda says in the name of Rav, halacha Reb Shimon. Halacha is like Reb Shimon. You can use rose oil. The Gemara asks on this. One second. I skipped the line. The Meimer de Rav Reb Shimon Sfirlei. Do you want trying to say that Rav Paskins like Reb Shimon? But Reb Simi Barchia says the name of Rav Hai Mesuchria in the Zaisa. This cloth stopper of a barrel that gets wet. It's plugging up a barrel and it absorbs the liquid. When you pull it out, it's going to end up getting squeezed out of the barrel, and you're not allowed to squeeze out a cloth on Shabbos. He says you can't use a cloth stopper on Shabbos. Asaladuki b'yom tava. You can't push it in on Yom Tov. It's a problem of schita. Now, you don't intend to squeeze the cloth and to use the wine that's in the cloth. That's not your intention. Reb Shimon holds that a davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. If you don't intend it, it's permissible. Reb Shimon holds this is permissible. Rav holds that it's usher. Well, if Rav holds that it's usher, what are you telling me? Rav paskins like Reb Shimon? Rav doesn't paskin like Reb Shimon. Where it says no. Could say that Rav goes like Reb Shimon, but in that case, even Reb Shimon would agree. Bahi afilu Reb Shimon maida. Reb Shimon would agree in that case. Why? Famous statement here. Abaye v'Rava damri tarvayo. Abaye and Rava both say maida Reb Shimon b'psikresha v'leyamas. This is a psikresha. Even though Reb Shimon holds that something that's not intended on Shabbos is permissible, but if it's something that's inevitable, so then you can't tell me that you didn't intend for it because it's 100% guaranteed that that's going to happen. So even Reb Shimon agrees that it's prohibited. So we have an answer that it's possible for Rav to go like Reb Shimon. He doesn't paskin like Reb Shimon. He's machmer by the stopper. Reb Shimon is machmer over there as well. Where it says, 1 second. From Rab Chia Barashi Amarav, halacha Rab Yehuda. Now we're getting very direct. We have Rab Chia Barashi, student of Rav, says that Rav paskins like Rab Yehuda. Rav Chanan Barami Amar Shmuel halacha Rab Shimon. Rav Chanan Barami says the name of Shmuel that halacha is like Rab Shimon. Rav Chia Barav and Masni La B'lei Gavri, Rav Amar halacha Rab Yehuda, Shmuel Amar halacha Rab Shimon. Without the people that are citing it in the name of Rav and Shmuel, he just says clearly that Rav says the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel says the halacha is like Reb Shimon. What are you telling me that Rav says over here? This is a kasha on Rav Abba Bar Zavda. That the halacha is like Reb Shimon in Hilchos Shabbos, that you can have all those leniencies that Reb Shimon says. But that's not so. We have that Rav paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. Elam Rava says Ani. Varisha b'chabura, I and the lion of the group, Targumina, we translated this, and as we explain this, Umano, who is that lion? Rab Chia Baravan. So both of us explain this. That halacha Reb Shimon v'labin tamei. We're going to paskin like Reb Shimon, but we still don't hold of Reb Shimon. So we're going to paskin like him in this case, but for a different reason. My halacha Reb Shimon v'lamin tamei. What is the explanation for that? Paskin like Reb Shimon, but not for his reason. Eily malacha Reb Shimon d'shari. If we say that halacha like Reb Shimon, that it's permissible to use rose oil, v'lav mitamei, but not because of his reason. These dealer Reb Shimon savar masi, Rav savar masi could say like this. Reb Shimon says that you're allowed to use rose oil even though it's medicinal. Because people use rose oil, the princes, and the Jewish people are princes. Now, Rav doesn't hold of that. Rav holds that you're allowed to use rose oil because it doesn't work. It's not medicinal. It's just the regular olive oil, whatever. So that would be the reason why he holds it. Notice he doesn't accept anything that Reb Shimon's saying. He just happens to be that they're both allowing it, but for totally different reasons. Gemara says v'savar Rav le'masi. Rav says that it doesn't heal. But midiktani b'nei malachim sachem al gabi makiseyem shemen vered mechlal demasi. No one argues on that. The question was, can we say that all the Jewish people are considered princes, and therefore they should be allowed to use rose oil? That's the question. But everyone agrees that it heals. So we have to figure out, why does Rav say that you're allowed to if he doesn't hold like Reb Shimon? Now, the Gemara here is it seems like the machlekes Reb Shimon and the Rabbanon is not about, are the Jewish people princes? It seems that the machlekes is more about, if you're doing something that you don't, that doesn't need to be intended for medicine, because it's also something that's normal. So, is it permissible?
Every Jewish mother will tell you their son's a prince, so I don't think
Uh-huh.
the prince part's in question.
Uh-huh. So here we have to say that the rose oil is healing. The question is, why does Rav allow it if he doesn't hold like Reb Shimon? Ella, we have to say like this: Halacha Reb Shimon d'shari v'lav mitamei. The halacha is that it's permissible, not for his reason. Reb Shimon says, even though rose oil is not something that anyone uses just regularly, it's only medicine, it's still permissible. It's not common, so it's bought in the pharmacy. It's not in the regular store. Rav says that it depends how common it is. Where Rav was, this was very common. Yeah, my wife's grandmother said in Russia, they didn't have oranges, but you would get it in the pharmacy. They would they would get you an orange if you had a cold or something. So that would have been like a medicine then. But if it's common, no one would say, "Why are you eating an orange? What's wrong? You're not feeling well." So that's not how it works. It's totally normal. Okay. Let's go a little further. Let's try, just because we're behind the jot, but I don't have this prepared, but I think we could work it out. It says, Ve'elu ksharim, Hadran Lachshman Shatzim, we'll Belina to return to this parak. Talking about tying knots on Shabbos. A knot that's going to a permanent knot is a problem. But if it's not permanent, then it's going to be acceptable. I don't know if permanent means that it lasts for 24 hours. I'm not sure exactly. The following are types of knots that a person is chayev if he ties them on Shabbos. Kesher agamolim, kesher sapanim. A camel driver makes a knot, I guess, to tie up his camels. In the boat, the sailors also have a knot to tie them. Those are permanent knots. Just like he's chayev on tying them, he's also chayev on untying them, because that was two malachas, tying and untying. Now, it would only apply to a kesher shel kayama, a permanent knot, the untying. Untying a person's shoes is not a permanent. The shoes is not a permanent knot, so there's no problem. So it works together. What's prohibited to tie is prohibited to untie. The Gemara said that we learned this from. Where did they do the untying? We had earlier that they had nets that they would use to catch chilazon, those snails, and they would have to make them larger or smaller. And the way they made the nets was with a bunch of knots, like loops and knots, and they would tie it that's how the nets were made. Reb Meir Omer, kol kesher sheyachal atira b'achos miyad avein chayav alav. How do you know if it's a permanent knot? It depends if you can untie it with one hand. If you can untie it with one hand, then it's not a permanent knot, and that's allowed. It's an easy solution. Okay. They would they would make a hole in the nose of the camel. They would put in there a little ring, and then in that ring they would tie a rope, and that rope would get tied to a post. And same thing on a boat. They would make a hole at the end of the boat, not like and they would put a ring in it, and then in that ring they would put a rope. It says, "My kesher hagamalim kesher sapanim." What is this that you were talking about? That these knots. Eily makitcher the kachri bizmama. Are you talking about the knot that's tied to those rings? The kitcher the kachri bi'istrida. Zmama would be the ring that's attached to the nose. Be'isterida is the ring that's attached to the boat. What are you talking about? That's exactly the knot that you untie. Notice you put the ring in to stay there permanent. Then you tie this string to it to tie it up to the dock, or you tie it up to a post. But that gets untied. The only thing permanent is the ring that gets put in there originally. We're not talking about the rope that gets tied to the ring that's in the nose. We're talking about the actual ring that goes through the nose. That is a permanent knot. That never comes out. With the strida gufa and the ring that goes through the boat itself, and then you tie a rope to that. The original ring that goes through, that's a knot. It's calling it a ring, but it's actually a rope. It's a rope in the shape of a ring. That's the knot. That's always there. Let's go a drop further. Meir says anything that you can untie with one hand is not considered permanent. Boy Rav Achtavoy, Achoy de Maracha. Rav Achtavoy, the brother of Maracha, he asked this question like this: Aniva, the Rabbi Meir Mahu, a bow. According to Rabbi Meir, Aniva is a bow. You can pull out. So his question goes like this: the reason for a mayor is that you can pull it out with one hand. Well, I can pull it out with one hand. Maybe what Reb Meir means is that it was loose. Any knot that's loose that you can untie with one hand is not considered a knot. But when I make this bow, it's very tight. It's not loose. It just happens to be that there's a way I pull one thread and it all comes out. But it's not loose. It really holds tight. It could hold for years, possibly, in the bow. It's not a loose knot. So his question is, what does Reb Meir mean when he says that you can untie it? I said, oh, your shoes. Well, that's what the Gemara is asking. Rav Achtavoy is asking. Shoes are very tight. It just happens to be that the way it's made is that you can pull out one thread and it will come out. Gemara says, take it.
Just by the way.